this wasn't just fame.
Millions knew his name. His influence reached every corner of the world. But talent alone can explain this, or even this. So, what transformed Michael Jackson from an entertainer to a phenomenon? Long before the stadiums and the hysteria, there was the Jackson 5. By the late 1960s, MJ was already performing with his brothers, and his stage presence was unusual for a kid. But one performance would reveal something more. In 1969, when MJ performed Who's Loving You, he performed with such smoothness and control, which made him seem strangely detached from his age. It was a turning point. In that very moment, many began to realize that MJ was simply not just a child performer. Rather, he was gifted. Yet, history is filled with gifted artists. Talent can earn admiration, but it simply cannot explain why millions would one day weep at the mere sight of this man. For that, we must look beyond the gift. Talent had opened the door, and while most artists spend the rest of their lives walking through it, Michael Jackson chose a different path. What separated him from the herd was not just his ability, it was how he thought. He never tried to protect a formula. Again and again, he challenged the boundaries of what an artist could be. He wasn't dissatisfied with success, but at the same time, he was unwilling to stand still. This instinct revealed itself everywhere in the music he created, in the performances he designed. He kept on pushing himself and took all the risk without any guarantee of success. While Off the Wall established MJ as a formidable solo artist, it was Thriller which revealed the true scale of this man's ambition. It was more than just an album. It was the reinvention of what popular music could be. With Billie Jean, he transformed a live performance into a cultural moment, debuting the moonwalk and creating an image that would outlive generations to come. With Beat It, he dissolved the boundaries between hard rock and pop, uniting the audiences that the industry had long kept apart. And with the 14-minute Thriller short film, he refused to treat music videos as mere promotion, elevating them into cinematic events of their own. And even after conquering the whole world with Thriller and becoming the most sold music album of all time, with copies sold between 70 to 120 million to this date, he yet again chose evolution over comfort. And so the bad era was simply not an attempt to preserve a formula, rather, it was an attempt to redefine it. And it was exactly this relentless refusal to remain still which separated him from almost everyone else. Most performers spend their careers trying to be seen, but Michael Jackson wanted to be remembered. Most artists become memorable because of their work, but MJ became memorable because even his silhouette was recognizable. I mean, think about it. The fedora, the single sequin glove, the moonwalk, the black loafers, the white socks, the military jackets. None of these objects possessed any meaning of their own. It was Michael Jackson who gave them the meaning. He understood precisely when and where to present them until they became inseparable from his identity. So much so that, decades after the applauses had faded, a single glove of this man would be sold to a fellow artist for hundreds and thousands of dollars, who would later use it as cover for his latest album. The glove sold for this astonishing amount, not because it was beautiful, not because it was rare, but because people were not even buying a glove. They were buying a fragment of a myth, and that myth was Michael Jackson. The greatest performers entertain the eye, while the rarest, they shape the mind long after the curtains fall. The human mind is simply incapable of remembering everything it encounters. It simplifies, it compresses, it searches for patterns, and it is precisely because of this limitation symbols become so powerful. MJ perhaps understood this trait of the human mind. He reduced complexity into unforgettable symbols and attached overwhelming emotions to them. A crown is remembered long after the king, a flag long after the battle, a signature long after the author. And MJ seemed to understand that entertainment obeyed the same principle. He did not ask the audience to remember every single performance. He gave them the silhouette, the glove, the fedora, the single impossible movement across the stage, and the brain did the rest. A child in India, a teenager in Brazil, a family in Japan, an elderly person in Nigeria, millions of unrelated people began to associate the same image with the same idea. They all saw the same elements and they all came to the same conclusion: Michael Jackson. Perhaps this is why power is so often misunderstood. It is rarely about domination. What it is actually about is permanence, the ability to remain present even in your absence. True power is achieved when an idea no longer requires an introduction. MJ reached a point where he no longer required any sort of recognition. Most forms of power fade when this source disappears. Kingdoms collapse, companies fail, empires fracture. Yet, occasionally, a different kind of power emerges, one that survives the individual who created it. Decades have passed since MJ first stepped onto a stage, yet his image is still instantly recognizable across generations, and it is also the reason why he is the only artist to have top 10 hits in 6 different decades. True influence is not how many people know your name, it is how long your presence survives your absence. History remembers countless successful people, but only a select few transcends their profession and become part of culture itself. Michael Jackson was one of them. He did not simply master music, whether by instinct, experience, or extraordinary intuition. He mastered attention, memory, and emotion. And when those forces converged, the result was not merely fame, it was something far rarer. It was permanence. And that is why he became unmatched.